Okay, good Moed, everyone. It's so nice to see everyone. Welcome. Come on in. Welcome. As I said last night, now we're holding by the last moments of the Ushpizin of Yosef. Yosef, you know, there's a Tanchuma that says that Yosef is B'gematria Tzion. And what happens to Yosef is a lesson for all of Tzion, all of Klal Yisrael. In one way, it's the fact that Yosef was known as the one who was pit beit b'Yitzray. He combated his Yetzer. And a good Jew would love to have that title, that I'm a person that combats my Yetzer. The Gemara tells us in the beginning of Shas, in Brachas, La'olam yargiz adam Yetzer tov al Yetzer hara. It should be a constant battle. That's the Metzias. If you don't have the battle, then you're lost. If you think that you don't have a battle, what do you mean? I'm living in Phillies. What battle? If you don't think you have a battle, then you've lost. We all have a battle. We all have varied battles. Some people have a battle in Shalom Bayis. Some people have a battle with their Shmiras Einayim. Some people have a battle with watching their mouth. Some people are cheap. Some people are greedy. Some people are darn lazy. Some people, they just don't learn. Some people daven and they don't have any kavanah. But we all have a battle. Yitzray shaladam miskaber alav b'chol yom. That's a fact. So to have this title, that I'm pit beit b'Yitzray, that's a very big thing. 41 years ago, when I was in Eretz Yisrael, I really had a desire to go to Kever Shel Yosef. Already then, they were saying that it wasn't safe, but it was attainable then. So I hired a armed guard, and I went up to visit, and I davened over there to have help in Pit Beit B'Yitzray. 2 times ago, when I was with my Rebbetzin, right after we got married, we went to Gateways on Sukkot. So I tried to go again, and they told me, impossible. So then I found out that there was a governmental trip to go, and you could join the governmental trip, but it wasn't until after we left. There's another thing about Yosef. You know, it says Yosef is not susceptible to the ayin hara. It says ale ayin, and we darshan ole ayin. Yosef is, you know, kibnei Yosef the lo shalta be'enei bisha. Why? Ayin hara comes when a person flaunts what they have and causes other people pain that they don't have it. So then everybody in Shalom says, well, I didn't give it to you to make people feel bad. Yosef said, when Paro said, I hear you know how to interpret dreams, Yosef said right away, Biladai, not me. Elikim Yanesh Shloim Paro. If it's going to be from Hashem. He wasn't angry at the brothers. They lowered him to a pit of snakes and scorpions. How could he not be angry? Lo yatem shlachtem oisi heina kiyam elikim. When a person attributes everything to Hashem, there's no ayin hara. Finally, there's another thing that's very negei Yosef. When Yosef was born, Rachel Imeinu said, Asaf elikim escher posi. Hashem gathered away my embarrassment. Asaf elikim, welcome. Asaf Elokim Esker Pasi. So Rashi tells us that until then, if something broke in the house, it was her fault. She was home the whole day. It was her fault. Now, everybody says Yosefel did it. Yosefel did it. Also, until now, they were saying that Yaakov has a wife for beauty, a trophy wife. She's the trophy wife. So now that she had a child, Asaf Elokim Esker Pasi. So we see already from the get-go that Yosef was to remove shame. And later on, Yosef would put himself into mortal danger by sending out everybody, all the palace guards, everyone, so that the brothers who put him in a pit naked and sold him into slavery shouldn't be embarrassed. And that's another very big Yiddish trait, that we should try that people shouldn't be embarrassed. So it's a very big thing. People don't grasp it because they get sometimes a sense of zealotry. In my Rabbanis, I saw this. It's something we have to learn. Forewarned is forearmed. I remember I had a man. He was actually a gevir. At the time, he had a yerida, but at the time, he was a gevir otzim. And he was a bit of shtickle chasidisha, but he came into my shul. He would daven sometimes. He would shtitz the shul. One time, it was a yahrzeit. He went up to the Amud, and his ivra left a lot. It wasn't very good ivra. He didn't pronounce the words that well. So after davening, somebody went over to him and said to him, "You should be ashamed to daven the way you davened." He never stepped foot in my shul again. Never stepped foot in my shul again. I stayed friendly with him, but he never stepped foot. That's not a Jewish way of doing things. If a person could come and say smartly afterwards, in Ashkenaz shuls, they pronounce things differently. Maybe I could go it over with you a little bit. That's a way. The same thing, I'll give you another example. Somebody comes into a shul by mincha, and he's not wearing a hat. He gets an aliyah. So some overzealous person goes to the rack and takes an old dusty hat that's the brim is of all it's seen much better days, 3 sizes too big for him, and claps it on his head. See, that's not Zarishil Yosef. That's not. Yosef is fakert. Asaf Elokim Esker Pasi. Saba is a chassid from the Friedrich Bluzhev Rebbe. There's a famous Maisa from the Friedrich Bluzhev Rebbe. Famous Maisa. The Friedrich Bluzhev Rebbe was davening, and a chazan went up and was starting from Hokel. And he started repeating words. He started repeating words, Uzecha, Uzecha! He started repeating words. So somebody yelled out, which of course is not allowed there, He yelled out, Eveis nish vitza davenen. So later on, by the Kiddush, the Rebbe said, yes, das ist taken nicht unsere Weg. Aber der Mensch, was gescheit, is a shayfach daven. That's murder. So that's also Yosef. So in the Spizen of Yosef, we should learn from these traits. I said 3 things here. I said that Yosef is pit paper Yitzray. Yosef took away shame. And Yosef took away shame. And I said a third thing, that he attributed everything to Rabbeinu Shalom. That's why it's above the Ayin Hara. So now we're going to learn the Mishna Yomis. Sorry, that wasn't supposed to take so long. And I was supposed to tell you that the Aruch HaShulchan says that tonight has the trappings of really a Yom Adin. He brings down that it was a minig by many people to be Neir Kol Halayla, and I'm sure in Lakewood it's Mustama minig in yeshivas, Rada minig in yeshivas, to stay up the whole night, because it's although we had the Chasima already, but the Piskais, the verdicts, are not given over to the Malachim till tomorrow. So it's not everything or nothing. You don't stay up the night, but you could still learn extra and give tzedakah. Make sure to do tashlich. You didn't do tashlich yet. Make sure if you didn't do ataras nedarim to do ataras nedarim. And there is an Indian, if you didn't shlug kaparas, to shlug kaparas too. So we are holding by Mishnah Yud. Believe it or not, we're finishing the first parak of Moed Katan and starting the second parak, dedicated by the Fisher family, Linishmas Basi Bas Rabbi Shalom ben Avram Alevi Perel Bas Ruvain, also Linishmas Yaakov Moshe ben Zev, the Schus of Avram ben Yom Benish ben Malki Yudis and family, the Fush Shalem Efel Yom Moshe ben Chaya Sarah, for by the Klugman family, and also L'Refush Shalema Mike Shver Avigdor Aya ben Rivka and Meir ben Chaya Sarah. Also, we might have on Yom Tov, tomorrow morning, as a matter of fact, already, we might have Ruvain Lipsky daven with us. If he comes, he's going to daven in the alcove over there in the corner by the refrigerator, because he's very susceptible to germs. So we could welcome him warmly from a distance, Ruvain ben Tema. So Mishnah Yud tells us, Oisin maka legag v'lamarfeses, you could make a parapet, a fence for a roof or for a porch or a galley. Maisa hedyet, you could only put makeshift racks without cementing them. So here there's an interesting avaloi maisa uman, but you can't do a professional activity. So here there's an interesting ritva. The ritva says this is only a roof used for storage. But if it was a roof used for living purposes and it's a maked daraisa, then you would allow them even do a maisa uman. It's a very mechudish ritva. Shofan esastokin, let's say there's a leak in the roof, or you can't have a leak in the roof over Yom Tov. So shofan esastokin, you could smear cracks, or magila noisan, and you could flatten it out, smear it by magila, you could flatten it with a piece of wood, a circular piece of wood, by yod uvaregel, you could use your hand and your feet, but you can't use the trowel, which is the tool that's made for this, because you have to do a shinui. Hatzir. In those days, the doors swiveled, and there was a peg in the ground, a pivot. So hatzir vatziner, if the peg that the door swivels on, vatziner, and the socket that it goes into, vakora, or if one of the supporting beams has a problem, vamanol, or the lock, vamaftech, or the key, shenishbru, if any of these were broken, misaknon b'moed, you could fix them on moed, but you couldn't have, said, I'll fix it on chalamoed. You didn't push it off in the moed. If you pushed it off in the moed, then even though it's for safety and all of that, you're not allowed to do it. The kol kfashim, all pickled things, like pickled cucumbers, pickled tomatoes, all things that we pickle, that it's going to be ready on Yom Tov, so it's for Simchas Yom Tov, kaifshin, you could start the pickling process. Says Mishnah Aleph, now, the way it works is that you put the olive in a vat to soften, then you turn them, and pretty soon after you turn them, you have to press them, otherwise they're going to spoil. So, you already flipped it, and you had enough time to do it after Yom Tov, but then, the person became loyalenu somebody died, so then he's not allowed to do it while he's sitting shiva. Or any other inus, he had to go out of town to help one of his children was not feeling well. Or workers tricked him. Workers misled him. They said they were going to come before Yom Tov and they didn't. He could put on the first beam. The fact that it oozes out, and he should leave that first beam until manicha la'achar moed, and that will save it from spoiling. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi is much more mekel. Rabbi Yossi says once you're allowed to do it, we allow you to do a whole process. Rabbi Yosef, if you could pour it into the vat, the geimer, and complete the process, and even the gof kedarka, you could put it into the casks and seal the casks in the normal way, because once you're allowed to start the process, we allow you to finish. Again, tonight, please come down for a double daf, as we learn 2 blat. Not so hard tonight. Rav Chanani ben Akash Amaratza HaKadosh Baruch Hu, L'Zaka, he says Yisrael,